Good morning. Today we stand before you with a simple truth. The fight for the hostages is far from over. I would like to thank Ambassador Shea for standing with us today. Standing beside me is Eli Sharabi, a man whose life was shattered on October 7. Eli was taken from his home in Kibbutz Be'eri by Hamas terrorists, dragged into Gaza, and held underground for 491 days. For 491 days, he was beaten, starved, and tortured, chained like an animal in the darkness of Hamas's terror tunnels. When he was finally released, he returned to a nightmare. His wife, Lian, and their two daughters, Noya and Yael, were murdered. His brother, Yossi, was murdered in captivity and still remains in Gaza, denied even the dignity of burial. Eli is here today because he survived. He is here to look into the eyes of those who have kept silent and tell them the truth. For too long, the UN has looked away. For too long, the Security Council has looked away. But Israel will not look away. We will not fail them. There are too many in this building who want us to turn the page and move on. There are others who mention the hostages as if they are checking a box, not because they really care for them. Some even fail to mention the hostages at all. However, after Eli Sharabi's testimony, no one will be able to ignore them. No one will be able to simply check boxes. The world will hear his story, and the world will have to make a choice: to stand with the hostages or to stand with the terrorists. Thank you.
My name is Eli Sharabi. I am 53 years old. I've come back from hell. I've returned to tell my story. I used to live in Kibbutz Be'eri with my British-born wife, Lian, and my daughters, Noya and Yael. It was a beautiful community. We were all passionate about creating the best life for our children and for our neighbors. Lian and I was married for 23 years and had two wonderful daughters and a dog, Mocha. On October 7, my heaven turned to hell. Sirens began. Hamas terrorists invaded, and I was ripped away from my family, never to see them again. That morning, after the sirens began, I tried to reassure Lian. The army will come. They always come, I told her, but they didn't. The terrorists infiltrated our community. The terrorists broke down our door. The dog barked, and the terrorists opened fire. My wife and I threw ourselves over our daughters, screaming for them to stop. They dragged me away as I called out to my girls, "I will be back." I had to believe that. I didn't know I should have said goodbye forever. Outside, my peaceful home was gone. Over 100 terrorists were laughing, celebrating, filming themselves in our gardens. They beat me as they dragged me toward Gaza. My ribs were bruised. My face was swollen. And when we reached the border, a mob of civilians trying to lynch me. They put me from the car, but the terrorists rushed me away into a mosque. I was their trophy. For 491 days, I was kept underground in Hamas terror tunnels, chained, starved, beaten, humiliated. The chains they kept me in tore into my skin from the moment I entered until the moment I was released. I was given almost no food, no water, and no mercy. I was treated worse than an animal. I was fed a piece of pita a day, maybe a sip of tea. I had to beg for food, beg to use the bathroom. Begging became my existence. And through it all, I held on to the hope that I would see my family again. When I was released on February 8, 2025, I weighed just 44 kilos. I had lost over 30 kilos. I arrived home and they told me my mother and sister were waiting for me. I said, "Get me my wife and daughters." And that was when I knew. They were gone. They had been murdered. My brother Yossi was murdered in captivity. He is still being held in Gaza, denied the dignity of burial. Just before my release, Hamas took pleasure in showing me a picture of my brother Yossi. They told me he was dead. It was like they had brought a massive hammer down on me. I refused to believe it. Where was the Red Cross when we needed them? Where was the United Nations? 491 days of torment, 491 days of starvation, of being chained underground. And no one came. No one in Gaza helped me. The civilians saw us suffering, and they cheered our kidnappers. They were definitely involved. I'm here today because I survived. But survival is not enough. Not when 59 hostages are still there. I was freed less than 6 weeks ago. I've come here to be the United Nations with a simple message. Bring them all home. I met President Trump at the White House and thanked him for securing my release and many others. I appreciate his efforts to free those still held. I told him we must bring them all home. I met with Prime Minister Starmer at 10 Downing Street. I told him as well, we must bring them all home. Now, I will stand before the United Nations Security Council to say this. No more excuses. No more delays. No more moral blindness. You cannot claim to stand for humanity and abandon those who are still in hell. I say now to every state, to every person in a position of power, to every person who has listened to me today, bring them all home, now. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you, everyone. And I want to express special gratitude and admiration for Mr. Eli Sharabi for being here today to provide a firsthand account illustrating the brutality of Hamas. And thank you also, Ambassador Danon. Your difficult but necessary testimony, Mr. Sharabi, will offer the Security Council an important perspective, reminding us all of how Hamas started this conflict on October 7th, 2023, with its horrific terrorist attack, wherein they took 250 people hostage. The United States is honored to have Mr. Sharabi here, and it is important for the Council to hear directly from hostages who were kept in Hamas captivity. They are witnesses and they are survivors whose testimony provides evidence of the barbarity of Hamas. Mr. Sharabi is particularly brave. He lost his wife, Lian, daughters Noya and Yahel, brother Yossi, when Hamas murdered each one of them. His brother Yossi's body is still being held by Hamas in Gaza, as he just said. Despite this horrific ordeal and the extreme sorrow he is experiencing, he continues relentlessly to advocate for the release of all the hostages. His determination and his dedication to ensure others do not experience the same loss is inspiring. President Trump has been clear. Hamas must release all 59 hostages immediately, including American citizens Idan Alexander, Itai Chen, Judith Weinstein Haggai, Gad Haggai, and Omer Nutra, or they will continue to pay a steep price. We will always stand with Israel as it defends itself and pushes to secure the release of all hostages from Hamas captivity. Thank you, and I now turn the podium back to Ambassador Danon.
Thank you very much. We are all waiting to hear Ellie in the Security Council in a few minutes, and we want to thank you and your brother Sharon for coming especially for this special event. Thank you very much.